All right, let's get into it. Well, hello to our book community and to our favorite readers. Thanks so much for spending some time with the Charlesbridge sales and marketing team this afternoon and joining our conversation. I'm Meg Bensameni-Quinn, and I'm joined by my colleagues Jaleesa Burwell and Lindsay Atkins, as well as Donna Spurlock and Rachel Judy in the chat as we take a look at our summer 2024 list. Now, as we will be chatting live today, we're pretty excited about that one. We'd love to hear from you. Please do feel free to drop your thoughts, comments, and questions into the comments section and join the conversation. We will also be making a recording of this session available, so feel free. Now, by engaging in the chat, you are also entering our giveaway for free books. Each section will pose a question at the beginning for you to mull as you listen along, and winners will be selected at random throughout the presentation. All you have to do is to answer that section question in the chat for a chance to win. And if you could be so kind as to make sure that your display name lists both your first and last name or your first name and your organization so we can match winners with our registration list, we'd appreciate it, as we will be following up with you after the webinar today to claim your prize. All right, now that we know what's going on, shall we talk about some books? Okay, our first theme today is family. And here's our first giveaway question. What's your go-to storytime read these days that features families of any kind? Let's say that one more time. What's your go-to storytime read these days that feature families of any kind? Drop us a line and a comment in the chat. Now, I personally was struck by all the different kinds of families and relationships represented on our summer list. Whether it's spending the time in the kitchen with your abuela, finding your own melody with your family's musical act, or just figuring out when a family includes the community you choose. There's a lot of really great, relatable moments in our first round of picture books. So with that, strike up the band. Releasing simultaneously in hardcover English and Spanish is Adela's Mariachi Band, written by Denise Vega and illustrated by Erica Rodriguez Medina, who give us a new go-to read aloud. That's going to be a favorite that completes comes complete with integrated Spanish or English vocabulary. Now, Adela loves everything about her family's mariachi band. Well, except the fact that she isn't in it. But when she tries the different instruments, everything just comes out wrong. La trompeta fizzles, la buhela squeaks, and trying to dance makes Adela fall on her face. Me too, friend, me too. From watching her family, Adela knows that practice makes perfect, but can she find a way to be part of the band in the meantime? Okay, you guys, the text in this one is just fun. It employs a ton of onomatopoeia, silly instrument sounds, and a rhythmic story that will have kids wanting to move. It also offers up a strong message that anyone can find their place in the world, or in the band, using their own unique talents. This is a celebration of Mexican culture, created by both an author and illustrator with Mexican backgrounds. It's pretty tailor-made for fans of Disney's Encanto, for little listeners that love to dance and sing, or for educators or librarians looking to expand their Spanish language sections, particularly with Hispanic heritage and cultural stories in mind. Plus, it's a great addition to any music theme or programming, as it also serves as a lovely, age-appropriate introduction to a variety of instruments. Now, next up is our homage to dads everywhere, especially single-parent dads with Squirrel Needs a Break, just in time for Father's Day. So Squirrel is at his wit's end after a long winter inside with his kids. His friends, who are the other woodland creatures, decide to work together to give him a much-deserved break. They hatch a plan to take turns helping Squirrel relax while they entertain the kids. Squirrel enjoys a day of self-care as the kids play, bake, and do fun activities with the other animals. And it doesn't take long for Squirrel's friends to realize just how hard he works each and every day. Now, single or not, I can personally attest that every parent needs a break sometimes, and Squirrel is no different. After a long winter inside with his kids, Squirrel's own community comes together to give him a breather, and this sweet and funny reminder that it takes a village, or in this case a forest, to raise an entire family. This one's from the same husband and wife team of Chris Remnar and Matt Faulkner that brought us Groundhog's Dilemma. And beyond the immediate dad appeal, this will also prove immediately relatable for anyone who has to wrangle large groups of kids teachers and librarians included. It also has a cute factor working for it, while it's centering around feel-good themes of friendship, community, and the joy in helping others. Okay, so what happens when a snowstorm prevents all the relatives from coming in for the holidays? No grandma, no aunts, no uncles, no cousins. No fun. Not so fast, contends just us, as one family adapts their holiday plans, rethinks their holiday traditions, and navigates disappointment with mindfulness and gratitude, coming up with new fun ways to celebrate while the snow piles up, all while still acknowledging that it's okay to miss those that can't join us this year for whatever reason. Okay, friends, I can't express enough just how excited I am about this one for so many reasons. One, it brings Molly Beth Griffin of 10 Beautiful Things back to our list with her sweet, same, grab the tissues to cry happy tears voice back to our list. It also pairs her with illustrator Anait Semerjan, whose art is always warm and inviting. Two, it brings this highly relevant, anxiety-provoking idea that traditions we've come to adore can be interrupted beyond our control by things like, I don't know, weather or pandemics, to a kid-friendly discussion. And three, it allows this New Englander to cite that snow can mess up everything. And that's okay. Plus, it's lyrical and engaging, with a gentle message that adapting to change is possible, primed for read-aloud repeats. Relevant and relatable, Just Us will provide comfort and warm hearts at a time of the year when maybe it's needed most. Speaking of holidays, what happens when your family celebrates both Christmas and Hanukkah? And Christmas and Hanukkah's first night falls on, and Christmas and Hanukkah's first night falls on the very same day. Well, as I'm sure you can imagine, the children at the center of this story have lots of questions as a result. What do we eat? Do we celebrate them together? What traditions do we celebrate? And you guys, how does that affect all those presents? Well, here to help is Gingerbread Dreidels by Jane Zalben, illustrated by Thai Huang, an interfaith, intergenerational picture book that shows that love is at the center of every holiday. Now, in this sweet contemporary story, Sophie and Max are confused. The children are used to the two parts of their identity remaining separate, celebrating with each part of their family in turn. But this year is different. All their grandparents are coming to partake in both Jewish and Christian traditions together. Now, author Jane Zalben herself identifies as Jewish and has published over 50 books for young readers. And her back matter includes an author note that further explains the circumstances of how and when Hanukkah and Christmas overlap, something she has firsthand experience with as her own grandchildren celebrate both. It also comes complete with a recipe for gingerbread dreidels and an explanation of each holiday. Now, also pubbing this summer simultaneously in English and Spanish is Squawk of Spanish by Gabriela Alderman, illustrated by Romina Galata, a heartwarming picture book that allows one little boy to gain his confidence with the help of his abuela and her parrot named Laredo. Max has a problem that a lot of kids growing up bilingual can relate to. He's not confident with his Spanish, and he can't roll his R's like the rest of his cousins. This isn't a problem when he goes to bake with his Spanish-speaking grandmother, as her parent Laredo always translates. But when Laredo disappears for the day, Max and Abuela have to figure out how to communicate without the middleman, or, well, pet. Done is better than perfect. And with Max and Abuela each attempting a language they're not 100% comfortable with, they cook up a solution. After all, trying is what counts. This one's a great option for fans of titles like Drawn Together and Mango Abuela and Me, and will resonate with readers looking to connect across generations or languages through stories. It's also a pretty sure bet for kids that love to bake, or just like shows like the Great British Baking Show or the Kids Baking Championship. Now, this is in fact a lived experience story, as energetic and enthusiastic author Gabby Alderman is a Panamanian American parent raising two bilingual and bicultural kids in the US. Now, she did, in fact, write both the English and Spanish editions, no translator needed. We are thrilled to have her, Laredo, and Max join the list. All right, y'all. We're going to give our listeners just a couple more minutes here to answer that question. What's your go-to story time read these days that features families of any kind? But in the meantime, Lindsay, Jaleesa, what are you excited about from these 5 titles?
So many things. I think that I'm really, really excited about gingerbread dreidels. I have so many family members and people I know that celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas, and they're always buying 2 books or 2 everything to kind of make up for that. And I've been part of those conversations where they want to have something that kind of bridges the two. And I think this is it's the illustrations are gorgeous too. I can't get enough of these illustrations.
For me personally, it's Squawk of Spanish. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to the fact that like the kids don't necessarily know how to communicate with their grandmothers in terms of in a different language. So I'm really excited to release that book.
Yeah. You guys, I'm particularly excited, kind of along the lines of different languages too. Adele's mariachi band has all kinds of instruments in it and all kinds of sounds. And whether you know your instruments or not, it's just a cool, fun read aloud. I think it's prime for repeats.
That would be a really fun read aloud with instruments, with just singing. Yeah, that's going to be a really good one for story time.
I see a lot of interaction in a lot of people's future. All right. Hey, Lindsay, can I pass it over to you?
You absolutely can. Yes. So nothing excites me more than a good true story. When I see the words based on a true story in either a TV show, a movie, or a book, I know I am in for a wild ride. I find myself wanting to know more and to learn all about that topic. As a former bookseller, one of the most asked for recommendations in the kids section was always nonfiction. I found that kids were also having that same inclination to find something and learn all about it. So, first off, for our giveaway question, we are asking what nonfiction topic do you want to see on your bookshelves? Now, you can answer this in the chat and we will pick winners. Now, let me show you some engaging titles that I'm very excited to share with you. So, starting off with She, oh, excuse me, fans of the questionnaires books will be thrilled to add a new STEM book to their shelves. In She Sells Seashells, very happy that didn't trip me up. I tried multiple times. By Heidi E.Y. Stemple and illustrated by Emily Peck, we examine the life of Mary Anning, the world's first paleontologist. Now, Mary didn't start as a paleontologist. She was just a young girl who enjoyed collecting curious things and selling them in her family shop. Only men during this time were considered scientists and would come to Mary's shop to buy her discoveries. Those who bought and studied her shells and fossils refused to acknowledge her skills or include her in their findings and teachings. But passionate Mary didn't worry. She was too busy making new discoveries to care what anyone thought of her. One fossil at a time, one discovery at a time. Author Heidi E.Y. Stemple observes Mary's life through that of a feminist lens, touching on her triumphs and determinations in a time where women were not recognized in the science field. This picture book has wide curriculum appeal in science, history, and women empowerment. This will resonate with those who feel looked over in their successes and teach them that powering through adversity makes you stronger in the end. Now, Michelle Cusalito is a force to be reckoned with. She's also the nicest person. She's a force to be reckoned with in her newest book to the Charlesbridge list, A Window into the Ocean Twilight Zone. While her previous titles, Flying Deep and Diving Deep, were captivating nonfiction picture books, Window is a middle grade STEM chapter book chronicling her days aboard a research boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I am so excited for everyone to see this STEM stack book. Michelle worked with the scientists from both the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute and international partner organizations. Together, they are showing readers what exactly a high seas research trip looks like. From navigating rocky weather, operating as a team, and reveling in discoveries, readers will feel like they are a part of the action. And not only do you get to read about the fascinating equipment and newest technology they used, but you also get to see extensive photos taken by Michelle that are scattered throughout the book. Talk about the perfect curriculum tie-in. This is an amazing choice for educators looking for a new way to showcase ocean exploration and engineering to middle graders. Michelle is a passionate science writer who loves to share her discoveries in a thrilling and truthful way. As a former curriculum specialist, she writes to address the next generation science standards. Budding scientists will get a better understanding about ocean exploration and the deep sea world. And next up, speaking of high seas, we have Every Here Has a There. Over the last couple of years, how the supply chain works became a popular topic of conversation due to the COVID pandemic. Absolutely, that became a popular topic in my house. With Every Here Has a There by Margot Lynn and illustrated by Brian Fitzgerald, we get to take the concept of opposites and combine it with the process of how books ship across the ocean to end up in a store near you. Filled with facts and a unique twist on the things that go concept, readers will travel aboard a cargo ship across oceans and towards the United States. As you read along, you'll see examples like Every Up Has a Down, as shipping containers filled with books are placed by a crane onto a container ship. Additional text is included along the way, explaining the process and giving new insight into the world of moving cargo. With simple vocabulary, this is a perfect choice for teaching sight words and using for spelling lists. The artwork is clear and detailed, helping readers match those words to the image. It's big ships, big ships, big trucks, all in one big book. I really love getting to see the trip a book takes to get into your hands. Sometimes it travels a really long way. And now we have no stranger to the Charlesbridge list. Ruth Spiro has two new Baby Loves books premiering this summer. In Baby Loves Automotive Engineering, the car-obsessed toddler gets to explore how vehicles move and what an automotive engineer does. This board book includes age-appropriate language and images that teach top-notch science concepts to the smallest of readers. STEM titles continue to grow in popularity, and this is a wonderful way to introduce that at an early age. I've been to a ton of baby showers over the last couple of years where the trend is to give a book for the baby with your gift. And this is a great one to gift to the engineer or car enthusiast parents. In Baby Loves Paleontology, very excited about this one, we get to dig and explore along with Baby as she discovers fossils in the ground. In a similar sense as automotive engineering, this board book takes complex science and boils it down to simple illustrations and text for toddlers to enjoy. They'll get to see Baby use tools to discover deep underground fossils and learn all about how they form over time. I also love how they mention all different kinds of fossils and what they can look like ammonite, teeth, and shells. And for the last book on our list of engaging nonfiction, we venture into the world of pickled poetry. This nonfiction celebration of pickled food throughout the world not only explores cultural traditions, but also takes a closer look at the words that describe them. Words like tangy, crisp, and punchy are used to describe different cultures' pickled process. This is a lot of alliteration. Now, this spicy rhyming story by April Pulley Sayer and illustrated by Jalay Sun, is filled with diverse communities, all brought together by their love of pickles. I am also in love with all of the luscious colors used throughout this book. Every single thing pops off the page. The pickles look like I could eat them. Educators of all kinds will find this as a perfect tool to use in their curriculums, whether it's poetry, vocabulary, or science. It invites readers to make their own pickled poetry. Back matter includes information on different kinds of pickling and instructions on how to make your own. Now, for a reminder of our giveaway question, we'll give everybody some time to answer, but I want to know, Jaleesa, Meg, what are you excited for on this list?
Well, I'm excited for you that you got through She Sells. That's why I knew I was going to do it wrong. So it's a tongue twister, but Mary Anning's story is so fabulous.
I agree. I love how the men are treated in this story. They're kind of just men, and they're not individualized compared to Mary Anning. And it just shows how important it was that she was the one who made the discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's really incredible.
And I saw a comment in the chat too that Mary Anning's really starting to get her due, right? In news and in history lately. And while Mary Anning books aren't new, I feel like she's finally getting her moment to be recognized for all the amazing scientific work she did a century and a half ago at this point. So
absolutely. Yeah. And it's really awesome too, because in the story it talks about how after she would find these fossils, she would do her own research and look up things because she wasn't allowed to become a scientist, and she was just interested. And I find that is just amazing and just really proves her, determination.
Mm-hmm. I think determination is a word you can use for every hero has a there too, because as the shipping lanes, supply chains, anything you'd like to talk about there is proof. I don't think we all knew prior to COVID-19 just how many steps go into getting a book off a printer into a box and then on your shelves. And I think this is a great way for kids to kind of understand that whole process. Plus, you're right, Lindsay. It's big book, it's big trucks, it's big ships, and it's a big book for little listeners.
Yeah. All right, Jaleesa, you want to take a swing at it?
Yeah. All right. So this leads to our next giveaway question. What recent picture book inspires you to do better, be better, or fight harder? And this giveaway question leads us into our next section, inspirational stories. These stories inspires readers to be brave, to believe in themselves and in what they can achieve, to work together as a team, and why a little kindness and generosity can go a long way. And what better way to start this section off than to inspire children to dream big? Anything and everything is possible, and Caribbean-born author Baptiste Paul motivates Black and brown children in Dear You, Dream Big. With Tony D. Chambers' illustration, Baptiste reminds readers that they can become anything they want to be, even if the journey is difficult. If you're a fan of All Because You Matter, I Am Enough, and I Am Every Good Thing, then you'll enjoy this poetic, lyrical anthem of Black pride celebrating Black creativity, leadership, and innovation. Baptiste's powerful text tells a story of rejecting systemic racism and embracing positivity and self-love. As an illustrator, Tony Chambers draws on his experience growing up with Jamaican immigrant parents, and his illustrations are influenced by family, culture, and the arts. This has allowed him to perfectly match Baptiste's powerful text while adding in another story, following 3 students through 3 visual narratives as they fight to become an artist, a scientist, and a president. With just one powerful refrain, Baptiste encourages Black youth to reject those who wish to silence them, exclude them, and reject their talents. Even though there are those who wish to silence you, stand tall, stand proud, reach for the heavens. Anything and everything is possible. Dear you, dream big. I think what makes this picture book so powerful is that it doesn't shy away from the systemic barriers people of color face as they try to enter certain fields. It even questions why certain histories and truths have been left out of the history books, all done in broad truths. The end of the book includes a personal author note about how Baptiste Paul had to dream big growing up in his community, giving readers a connection to the author himself. If you're searching for books to empower children, to give them pride and strength to stand against racism, and to build their confidence as Black and brown children, then this book is perfect. Educators looking for social justice books will also appreciate the tie-ins mentioned. So next we have Kindred Spirits. This is probably the biggest pay-it-forward story I have ever heard, bridging 2 continents, 175 years, and 2 different events in history, connecting Ireland, the Choctaw Nation, the Navajo Nation, and the Hopi tribe. Debut Choctaw author Leslie Stahl Widener and up-and-coming Navajo illustrator Johnson Yancey worked together to piece together this beautiful nonfiction picture book about kindness and generosity. Just to help better understand, here's a timeline. In 1845, the potato famine devastated Ireland. The Choctaw people an ocean away heard about the famine and were moved by the similarities to the injustice they had to suffer on the Trail of Tears. So they gathered the little money they had and donated. Now we jump ahead to 2017. Irish people built a statue, as seen on the cover, to remind their connections to the Choctaw Nation. It's 20 feet high with feathers in the shape of a bull. Then we're at 2020. COVID-19 hits the Navajo Nation and the Hopi tribe hard. The Irish people remember the Choctaw's kindness and pay it forward by donating. This is the perfect example of how empathy creates kindness that lives well beyond a single act. Back matter includes more information about the Trail of Tears and potato famine, along with a timeline of all events in the story and a glossary to help with pronunciation of Irish and Choctaw words. This book is perfect for educators interested in historical books involving multiple cultures, for anyone who wants to learn about Native history, and anyone looking for books to inspire children to be kind and generous. Ryan Bonnie Tomasev shares with readers what being brave can look like. In this adorable contemporary picture book, Rostam and Maman recently moved to the United States while Baba is still working in Iran. It's scary being the new kid at school, and even scarier when picture day comes and he has to wear something that might seem odd to the other kids. Rostam doesn't want to wear his pustine, even if it's something Baba wore, and even if it's beautiful and soft. He worries other kids will think it's weird. He just wants to belong. His classmates start asking questions, and Rostam thinks to himself, I am brave. As Rostam opens up, his bravery allows himself to share his whole self with his classmates, able to happily celebrate his culture with the others. Rostam's Picture Day Pustine celebrates cultural differences in a heartwarming way. This is a perfect windows and mirrors story written by Ryan, a debut first-generation Iranian-American author, and illustrated by Fatima Mokles, who grew up in Iran and speaks Persian. Back matter has a glossary and a nice author's note from Ryan about his father's experience as a young Iranian immigrant, which inspired this story. Clack, clack, smack. That right there is the sound of a score being made in Cherokee stickball. I'm excited to announce that Tracy Sorrell, an award-winning Cherokee author, is joining our list once again with her newest release, Clack, Clack, Smack, a Cherokee stickball story. This contemporary story is about how Van struggles to play Cherokee stickball. Van isn't as fast as the other teammates, and he tends to miss his throws. Unlike his friend Jess, who's practically the star of their team, Van isn't as skilled. But Van soon realizes he doesn't need to be a star in order to help his team win. The rich traditional Cherokee illustrations are done by debut illustrator Joseph Erb, also an enrolled member of the Cherokee Nation. The back matter has more information about stickball, its importance in Cherokee culture, and a glossary of the Cherokee language used in the story. Any sports fan will appreciate this exciting and fast-paced picture book that reminds readers that sportsmanship and teamwork is just as important as being the star. And that wraps up the inspirational stories on our list for summer 2024, which brings us back to our giveaway question for this section. What recent picture book inspires you to do better, be better, or fight harder? Let us know in the chat for a chance to win. And we'll give you a little more time to answer as we discuss a little bit more about these stories. So Meg,
Yes,
Lindsay,
ma'am.
what are you most excited about this section, these books?
Can I tell you that Rotsum's cover just makes me happy? Like that big toothy grin for picture day. If only all of my pictures from elementary school picture day look like that, right? Like the sheer joy and the fact that he's wearing the pustine right on the cover. I love it. And Ryan is just, the fact that he shares his dad's story in his debut picture book. Oh my God, pulls on all the heartstrings.
I'm a little jealous because I've never smiled like that for a picture day.
Nope. Lisa, me either.
No one is allowed to see my school ID pictures. They are locked away forever. I cannot wait for Kindred Spirits. When we first read this book, I was floored. The kindness that just emanates through centuries and through across the country and across oceans is it's just the sweetest story I have ever heard. And I'm just so excited for everyone to read along.
Well, and the statistic that Jaleesa shared was staggering, right? It's 175 years, 2 different events in history, 2 continents, and then that connects Ireland, the Choctaw Nation, the Navajo Nation, and the Hopi tribe together. How do we not know this story?
And thankfully, at the back of it, there's a really nice timeline that really fills out like all the different moments within this massive time period for people to follow along a little better.
You're right. It's a great primary resource right in the back, too. It's a visual, too, that, I mean, the author and the illustrator work so hard on. And it's just such a nice kind of, it's icing on this particular cake, right, for this nonfiction story.
All right, Meg, are you ready to take over?
I can talk about middle grade for sure. So let me go ahead and give our last giveaway question. What's your favorite book to recommend to reluctant readers? And that question, you guys, is actually a clue to something extra special we have up our sleeves for middle graders. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our new imprint, Charlesbridge Moves, debuting this summer. Charlesbridge Moves is, in fact, a middle grade line of high-interest, character-driven fiction founded with the mission of encouraging the inactive or capable non-reader who has become disengaged. So the reluctant reader, to discover reading as an enjoyable, leisurely activity. Charlesbridge Moves excites middle grade and chapter books readers with adventure, science fiction, fantasy, historical and realistic fiction, as well as mystery and humor, hoping to spark a curiosity to read more. Now, whether through traditional prose, verse, or graphic novel elements, our stories grow and sustain an appetite for reading over the long term, especially with boys and reluctant readers. So, we are up for the challenge of drawing middle graders back to reading and back to books. We realize we're competing with a whole host of challenges, including competition from video games, social media, and really devices in general, as well as stereotypes about what reading means, and the incorrect assumption that it can't possibly be fun. We all know differently, right? So to that end, all Move books are designed to be interactive. There will be a poster in every book, printed on the inside of the jacket of any hardcover. And series posters, by the way, spoiler alert, will act like puzzle pieces, so it's almost a collector's edition. Now, for those of you servicing the library community and saying, but wait, Meg, how am I going to get to the jacket? Fear not. Posters will be available for download because there will be a QR code that will appear both on the jacket flap and on the interior of the book. Now, that QR code will also take readers to a dedicated landing site for each and every Charlesbridge Moves book, which will have additional content tailored to each title. All right, so now that you know what we're up to, let's talk about the debut list. Wings to Soar by Tina Elfade is a historically relevant novel in verse, set in Uganda and in London in the early 1970s. Now, our story centers around smart and resilient Viva, whose Indian family has been expelled from Uganda and sent first to a resettlement camp in the UK, and then to a part of London whose community harbors hatred for brown-skinned people that Viva and her family must navigate as they try to get to the US. So this is technically historical, which I always have to stop and pause at when I see 1970s and 1980s now count as historical, but here we are. It's timely for sure, excuse me, either way, as the current climate does indeed offer hostile sentiments toward refugees in many parts of our own country. And Indian author Tina Elfade's strong voice and timeless message gives this one a contemporary feel. Tina herself was actually born in Uganda and was living in London at the time of the expulsion of Indians by the Ugandan government. While she herself was not a refugee, she did have a front row seat to witness the hatred that swept through London in the face of so many refugees relocating there. This one's a sure thing for fans of The Night Diary or Inside Out and Back Again, as well as a solid option for any community trying to find content to aid with tough conversations about population changes, influxes of refugees, or relocation. It's also a great choice for young politicos or gatekeepers looking for contemporary stories with diverse female protagonists, particularly ones with strong convictions about social change. All right. Going in a completely different direction here, you all. Let me set a scene for you. It's 1882 in Destiny, Colorado, and you're going to want a frothy glass of sarsaparilla as we introduce you to the quickest draw in the West, the Kid, his nemesis Snake-Eyed Sam, and a down-on-his-luck editor of Gunslinger magazine in this satisfying Western adventure full of quirky characters, snappy dialogue, and a whole lot of heart. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You ready? The Kid doesn't exist. He's actually the creation of 14-year-old Henry Upton, whose parents have died, and he concocts the Kid's story in an attempt to keep he and his brothers together and folks away from their part of the world as he holds onto the family farm. Now, like any good Western, a master plan is set in motion on Main Street at high noon that sets the record straight on the Kid, keeps Snake-Eyed Sam at bay, and keeps Henry and his brothers together. This one's got a fun structure to it, with 4 different threads meandering through a fast-paced, humorous story that uses fantastic dialogue to introduce readers to the good guys, the bad guys, and a whole lot of adventure. So this is Jeff Schill's debut novel, and we couldn't be more pleased about how excited he is to be part of the list and how ready he is to promote. The Kid will, in fact, be the first release on Charlesbridge Move lists, and its poster will be a portrait of Henry as the Kid, with a wanted poster feel, and will again include a tagline that reads, "A quick-draw kid with dead-eye aim and veins of steel who protected destiny." That's pretty cool, right? All right, and our final Moves release counts as one of a kind for sure, as 11-year-old Alan has a chance encounter with an old llama, which astonishingly reveals a language Alan didn't know he could speak, in Hum, written by William David Thomas. You see, Alan has a persistent habit of humming, but a difficulty making connections with people. But when he and his grandmother moved to northern New York for a fresh start, his meeting with the llama also triggers repressed memories that contradict what he has long believed about his earliest years and his parents' death. Trying to save the llama's life after his life is threatened, Alan must wrestle with lies about his past while struggling with the elements to survive. This is an emotionally driven survival story that has a mental health focus and conveys universal themes of coming of age, dealing with our pasts, and making decisions about our futures. This is perfect for fans of anything by Katherine Applegate, as well as a solid choice for educators, librarians, or really any professional helping kids cope with grief, anxiety, or big life changes. Okay, now in addition to Charlesbridge Moves, we do have one new Charlesbridge middle grade release. After their remarkable rescue, Butternut and the beloved residents of Milkweed Meadow are back in the perilous performance of Milkweed Meadow, written by Elaine Demopoulos and illustrated by Caldecott medalist Doug Salati. With our latest adventure, our animal heroine is learning hard life lessons, including who to trust, where to fit in, believing in our creative talents, and choosing to believe that friendship and love always win, even when a diabolic but dazzling troop of turkeys puts on a perilous but captivating show. Now, the original novel, The Remarkable Rescue of Milkweed Meadow, received 3-starred reviews and a warm welcome for a variety of pieces of our readership. Like its predecessor, Perilous Performance is also a sweet and clean story that's got a classic feel, memorable characters, and a solid message from ages 8 to 11. This one's perfect for animal-loving fans of Roseanne Perry's A Wolf Called Wander, Clarice the Brave, or really any reader or read-aloud seeker looking for a new anthropomorphic adventure with a strong message. Both adventures are stories that are simple enough to grace chapter book shelves or safely sit in a middle grade section, depending on your library or school's preference. The content is clean, the message uplifting, and the story illustrations sparse enough that it will satisfyingly serve a variety of tastes and grade levels. Beyond the educational potential and the entertainment potential, there are some lovely ELA hooks here for classrooms as well, including the opportunity to discuss storytelling and what makes an effective story or storyteller. As Kirkus's starred reviewed commented on book one, author Elaine Demopoulos' adventures are, quote, witty, engaging, and heartfelt. Use your milkweed. Read this. All right, friends. So we're going to give our listeners just a few more minutes here to talk about or give us their answers to our giveaway question. What are you guys excited about for middle grade this season?
This list is incredible. I am pumped for Charlesbridge Moves to be out in the world. These stories are just amazing. The kid, I am desperate to know what sarsaparilla tastes like. I don't think I've ever had it, but I'm slightly scared. But as a former bookseller working in the kids section, Westerns were like gold. Kids were always interested in historical fiction in one part, but every time you found a Western in a middle grade section, oh my gosh, it was like hooking a kid. They were hooked from there on. And I'm just so excited for people to see these multiple point of views. I can't wait for the kid.
I'm excited about Wings to Soar. First of all, that cover, I absolutely love all the warm tones, and just the artwork on it is gorgeous. And I've been such a big fan of novels and verses lately. So when I gave this one a read, it pulled me in right away. And it really hits the heartstrings when you, like, as you go through. And I think anyone who doesn't, like, has ever felt not being accepted by the people around them and have always, been teased or whatnot, I think they'll be able to relate to the story.
Yep. I'm glad you reminded us too, Julie, so that one's a novel in verse, because I think novels in verse are having a moment right now, and we have so many good ones to offer. But Tina Althate has just done such an amazing job of weaving pop culture references from the 70s to contemporary concepts, all while making this an accessible read. All right.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We are thrilled that you were able to join us for the preview of the Summer 2024 Charlesbridge list. Thank you so much for participating in the chat and giveaways. There are so many comments, and I loved reading through all of them. We will be providing a recording after this event. If you are a giveaway winner and you haven't heard from us in 24 hours, please email us at trademarketing@charlesbridge.com. Thank you all again. Our team here is always excited to bring new, fun, and informative books to your shelves. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.